What's the most disrespectful thing a guest ever did in your home? Brother brought a few friends over after a party he was at was busted. We weren't prepped for guests, but rushed clean before everyone came. We told my brother to make sure everyone stayed downstairs and use the downstairs bathroom since the upstairs one was cluttered. Well, I went to use the bathroom upstairs and the door was locked. I banged on the door and quickly popped out two girls with suspicious looks on their faces. I went inside and saw everything open. The closet, the shower, the cabinet, as if they were going through our stuff. Turns out they were recording and taking photos of them reacting to different products and our shower. We just moved here and haven't yet redone the bathroom. The home previously belonged to an elderly couple who haven't updated it since the 60s. Picture the bathroom as covered in pink carpet, link tiles, pink toilet, pink sink, etc. We live in an high-income town and these girls came from much wealthier homes than ours. We are simply working class. They took these pics videos basically mocking our home and products after we graciously let them in our home when we made them go home and ruin their nights. It was beyond violating and disrespectful. Still pisses me off thinking about it. I was the guest. Kinda. When I worked as a cable guy I had a very sudden and extremely painful stomach cramp, like my face was beet red and I sweating bullets. I asked the owner of the house if I could use the bathroom. By this time I know what is coming and I start to undress because I was overheating and felt like I was going to pass out. I blew the toilet up and did in fact pass out from the pain for like a split second. Do not know what caused the pain to be so bad. The smell was like something died. The bathroom had no air freshener. It was extremely bad. Boss showed up because I was in the bathroom for like 45 minutes. To whoever was the owner, sorry. The part in Dumb and Dumber reminds me of that day. I thought you were going to be my buddy telling the story of when he was installing satellite and used the wrong toilet in a situation like this. He went in, did his business quick, then was like this toilet won't flush, and then he looked over and saw another toilet. Yup, this homie one had a spare toilet that wasn't hooked up in his bathroom and my buddy didn't realize until it was way too late. My 8-year-old neighbor walks into our house without knocking, acts like it's his house, yells, doesn't listen to us, ignores my dad every time my dad tells us to be quiet when he has a call for work, eats our food, and so many more that won't come to my mind at the moment. Some dude I had never met before shows up with one of my friends, and this MF just walks in smoking a cigarette, then had the nerve to get pussy when I asked him to put it out. Kicked him TF out real quick. So once upon a time I was living at my mom's house, never smoked inside ever. She throws a big tango party and comes down to ask me if her friend could have a cig from me. Cool. Here you go. Lady from Argentina proceeds to light it up in my room in front of my mom and walk around smoking and ashing throughout the house. My mind was blown. A friend of a friend crashed a party at our house. He proceeded to tell everyone that he was a drug dealer and he could get them the best product. He hit on all of the married women who had not brought their husbands, punched the friend who brought him and drove home, drunk and high. He is the only person I have banned from my house. The couple sat down at a table with a cake which hadn't been served. It took each a fork and started to eat it, not cutting the cake into a piece for themselves, but going back and forth with forks to mouths and to cake, smacking and slurping. Nobody else wanted any cake. Had my cousin staying with me for 2 weeks visiting. I came home from work one of the days and my guest bedroom and living room was rearranged. I asked her why the heck she felt the need to move my house around. She said it looked better and I should thank her. Hasn't stayed with me again. And family also won't let her stay with them after they heard what she did. Was living with my parents, and they regularly left the country every year for about a month. My friends and I all looked forward to this time because I would have them over, move my drum set to the living room, and we'd get drunk and hang out for days on end. However, I was really selective about who could come over, and usually it was only my close friends who I knew I could trust, and occasionally I'd let a friend of a friend come over. I also had a few basic rules: cans and bottles go in the trash can, no smoking inside, and if you make a mess clean it up. So I'm having one of these get-togethers. My cousin asked if he could bring his friend over, and I said yes despite not knowing the guy. It gets late into the evening and we've all been drinking. Cousin's friend asks if I have stuff to eat, and I told him to go check the refrigerator for something. He asks if he can have a microwavable cheeseburger. Sure. Knock yourself out. About an hour later, I go to nuke something in the microwave, and there's friggin' cheese cooked onto the microwave glass. I go back to where everyone was and asked to cook cheese on the microwave and didn't clean it up. Cousin's friend goes, "Oh, it was me." I'm like, "No worries, just go clean it up." Looks me in the eye, straight face, and goes, "No a-hole here." I'm like, "No dude, you made the mess. Go clean it," to which he responds, "I'm not cleaning the microwave." My drunk brain took this as a profound disrespect, and although I'm not proud of it, something came over me and I backhanded the shit out of that little punk. Anyone who knows me knows I'm the opposite of a hothead, never violent. So naturally the whole room goes super quiet. In my head, I just thought, here's this new guy, and I've been nothing but nice. Had him over, gave him drinks and food, and he has the nerve to refuse to clean his own mess. Despite that, I instantly felt super bad and apologized to him. He did clean the microwave though, and now whenever he's brought up, my friends remind me of that time I pimp slapped him. Too long didn't we drunkenly backhanded the new guy for not cleaning up a mess he made in my microwave. I've seen two major things. On a birthday of mine many years ago, I would of course get little trinkets and presents. I invited a friend over once, and he acted like this was his birthday. Everything I got he needed to touch. Normally asking to see or touch it was fine, but he would just take and I'd have to go look for it once he got bored. Since then I've never had a friend over for a birthday. Second, my grandmother just loves coming over to our house, but is subtly judgmental. An example is I recently bought Doom Eternal, and once they saw it, they immediately told people behind my back that they thought it was too graphic. Not to mention, since our family isn't always on the best of terms, she will just drop stuff to stop it from being argued over when her will is distributed once she's gone. It's smart but annoying, as we have a larger family and minimizing our shit becomes difficult. Also, sorry if this is more of a rant than a proper answer. It's so hard to choose, so I have to give 3 answers. 1. Smoked opium in my house after I told him he couldn't smoke opium in my house. 2. Got in a fist fight in my living room and smashed up some shit in the process, accidentally punched me in the fracas. 3. Gave someone a haircut while I was passed out and left the hair all over the floor. The first 2 was the same friend, and the last one was actually his younger brother who received the haircut. When I was a kid, I met this other kid at the park a few times. Then one day invited him to my house so we could play Super Nintendo. Eventually it got late, like 8 PM. Sun is starting to set. He lived a biking distance away, but my mom didn't want him biking in the darkness. My mom said it was getting late and asked if he needed her to call his mom to give him a ride home. He said nope, I'm good. Thanks for the snacks and everything. Then he was on his way, but smashed my mom's outdoor potted plants because he wanted to play more video games. I heard the crashing, saw him doing it, and pulled him off his bike when he saw he was caught red-handed and tried to flee. Then I beat the piss out of him with all the white hot fury my 8-year-old fists could harness. I dared him to come back. Lil bitch never did. Ungrateful cunt. And she brought out the good snacks for his entitled ass. So my mom's now ex-boyfriend was staying at our house because he didn't want to get a job. He decided that it's a great idea to bring his 5-year-old daughter every weekend. Kid is rowdy as heck. Called my little sister ugly and fat. Screams when she doesn't get her way. Thinks that she lives here now. Her mom doesn't do jack shit and even encourages her behavior. Her dad doesn't do jack shit either and just gets wasted and then proceeds to yell at my mom. We said his daughter couldn't come over anymore if she doesn't behave, so now he's bitchy because he's too lazy to discipline his daughter. Spent my mom's money for 4 ATRC cars. So yeah, there's more, but I don't wanna type it all out on mobile right now. My aunt once asked my grandmother on the table during a family lunch, 20+ people, if I was a virgin. I was 14 at the time, and yes, I was. To that my grandmother replied something like, my kids usually finish school before they finish unwanted pregnancies. This aunt of mine had a daughter about 15 whom was kinda of a slut and had an abortion at the time. Grandma was savage back then. My brother was coming to see us after we bought a new house. His first visit in over a year. We cleaned for 2 solid days. Planned to go into work late the next day so we could take them out for breakfast. We were going out for dinner also. This was a stop between seeing his daughter on the way back to his house. About 3 hours away. They showed up 40 minutes late. Sat in their car long enough to determine best route to their house. Came in. Didn't even sit down. Said they wanted to go to dinner and then they were going home. So we went to dinner in separate cars. And they left also. We had to pick a restaurant that was on the way to their route home. When I was in elementary school, every year I would have a Christmas party where I'd invite my friends over and decorate cookies. A lot of times, they would bring their younger siblings. One year I had a party. All of my Legos were destroyed. I had to rebuild my hoard and hours of work. Plus, pieces were missing. The Lego sets were up high, so I have no idea how they got them. After that, I stopped having my Christmas parties. Me and my boyfriend let my friend and some guy she had a one night stand with stay over cause her mom kicked her out. So almost immediately after saying night to them, they start having sex on my brand new couch. I was so pissed they got all their sex shit on my couch and we had to get new cushions specially delivered cause the dude's nut stained the couch. My husband's uncle, not really uncle, think he's actually a first cousin, once removed, came over to help us with a water leak because he's a plumber. Offered him a cup of tea, and he sits at the dining table and just lights up a cigarette, flicks ash on the floor, because we don't have ashtrays as we are both non-smokers. Also, it was washing day, so we had wet clothes drying on clothes racks in the room too. Being English, we both said absolutely nothing, and let him do it. Our fault really, but we kind of felt we couldn't object, because he'd fixed our plumbing problem, and refused to accept payment. Perhaps it was a generational thing, as he was around the same age as my husband's parents, around 65ish at the time. I don't really ever get that worked up having a friend of a friend over, but my friend Keith's brother is an absolute askin. All night he acted like an obnoxious little clown. In the morning, he left with my shoes. Yes, you read that correctly. From my own home. I had to track down his phone number and call. His response was something like, oh my, well I suppose I did. I hope he falls off a ladder. Took a shit on my bathroom floor and left out of embarrassment. Didn't tell me about it. Just said I gotta run. Call you later. And she didn't wipe or washed her hands. Just left a snowball 4 inches from the toilet. I didn't find out for another 6 hours when the air started smelling like shit. I thought she didn't flushed, but boy was I wrong. Every single time I invite my mother to come to a birthday party for one of my kids, or if I'm having a BBQ, heck any kind of get together she is invited to, she fills her car with a bunch of people I have no idea who they are, and they invade the place like they are at war. They eat all the food and just destroy the place with their crazy antics. WTF, some people have such a sense of entitlement that I just will never understand. I invited a friend to pre-drink at my parents' house in our 20s, so my parents were fine with it. Showed up completely obliterated while my parents were there and dropped a small baggie of cocaine in front of them. He then proceeded to ask where the washroom was. Needless to say, that was a pretty tame night for me, as my parents sent him packing. I had no idea about his coke habit, just for the record. Invited about 15 friends over for a party at my house, and late into the night, we were having so much fun that anyone who wanted to stay over did, which was like 12 out of 15. We were watching movies, playing card games, roughhousing, and then at 2 AM most of us were winding down and trying to go to sleep. 3 of my guests went into the common area a few meters away from the rest of us that were trying to sleep, and stayed up all night on their phones and iPads, watching vulgar content NC-18. I'm sure you can guess what it was. Playing music, laughing and joking. Eventually my mother, who was sleeping literally behind the wall they were making the noise from, got fed up and basically told them all to put it away and go to bed. They put headphones in but still didn't go to sleep. A very long and restless night later. The rest of us are replenished and wide awake. Those 3 that stayed up are passed out on the carpet, and all around them are wrappers from almost every snack and sweet in our entire house. They emptied 3 tubs of ice cream. Half a cake, the rest of which was ruined. All of our chips, cheese sticks, puddings, everything. Thankfully they didn't empty our cereal and bread stash, so we were still able to make everyone breakfast. But as soon as everyone went home, the house was destroyed, and my parents forbade me from inviting those 3 again. Not that I complained. We don't talk anymore, and I haven't invited them to social gatherings since. I once pissed in the guest room of a befriended couple against the wall. My wife, then girlfriend, was too late to stop me. I was blackout drunk out of my mind. They took it well. Here's the karma: a cousin visited our place a few years ago with his wife and driver. Me and the driver went out. Got shit faced. Angry wives put him in a stretcher in the living room and me in my daughter's bed. He pissed all over the living room floor. Remembering my own screw up, my wife and I just accepted it and cleaned up. What bothered us most was him not saying he did it and that he was sorry. He insisted someone else did it, or that he had spilled something. In the upside, I don't get drunk like that anymore out of fear I might do stupid shit again. Actually haven't even gotten drunk in a civilized manner since. A stranger hopped a ride to my house party from the bar we all started at. He acted super disrespectful. I was with a female date and he didn't respect that we were there together and kept trying to get one or both of us to sleep with him. Got aggravated about it when we said no, and then he wouldn't leave. I bought him an Uber and he refused to get in it. Started feeling scared. He knows where I live and had to ask some of my guy friends to step in to get rid of him. He left for 10 minutes, then came back. Yelled we were all racist for kicking him out. It wasn't a giant house party either. Just 8 close friends hanging out after the bars close for the night. Should be common sense. If you're an uninvited stranger at a party, the least you do is be respectful to the host. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing for more videos.